Dear citizens of our great awakening country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, citizens of the USSR subject, of our republic, the Russian Soviet Federative Republic, RSFSR. Today, from the position of chairman of the International Committee for Legal Protection of the USSR, which is registered and accredited in the United Nations, and its committees as a consultant to the UN, as the treasurer of the chief regulator of the world financial system of the International Treasury Monetary One, I want to tell you the following, very good information. Here is the thing, dear citizens. At present, as you understand beautifully, genocide is taking place in all spheres on the territory of the RSFSR, carried out by a company, a foreign company, the Russian Federation. With its corporate instructions, which they imposed on the citizens with fraudulent and dark lies as some kind of state establishment, as some kind of state regime, which however it's not, neither on the basis of legislation, nor from a legal aspect, nor historically, and they imposed one of the types of genocide that I want to discuss here is financial genocide. All banks, large banks, and the banking network of the Russian Federation, first of all, are not banks, starting with the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, first of all. Secondly, you cannot even imagine how terrifying are the goals and tasks of a United Masonic Lodge that works in a union. They collected them into special materials. You can find them on the internet, which was also discussed by the deputies of the State Duma. And you can also see them on the Soyuz Anti-Terror website, where there is an interview of one of Russia's well-known political scientists talked about the terrifying business trip when he got to Switzerland, when they rounded up Russian bankers and used psychological training to set them up to carry out financial genocide in Russia. By forcing citizens to take out loans, dragging them into credit dependency, and taking away all their property, putting them in such a terrible social conditions, leading them to committing suicides and other problems, they created evil. They were committing genocide, financial genocide. I want to tell you a little bit about that, as a specialist, as an expert, so that you understand and know your right, how you can clearly claim your rights and freedoms in all institutions nowadays, based on the fact that the Central Bank of the Russian Federation is a finance company and not a bank. This is precisely why it's written in the law that it does not grant loans to the Russian Federation, because it does not have the right to carry out lending activity. It does not have such a powers. And of course, not only such powers, it cannot even issue such licenses to other finance companies created here. And these finance companies that have the word bank in their name were never banks. And they have no right to issue you loans. I will explain now. What distinguishes a finance company with a license where it is possible to open accounts, which can make transfers based on the instructions of the account holder? It can place funds, but does not have the right to deal with loans as a subject of activity. This distinguishes a finance company from a bank. The lending subject of activity is another subject of activity which, according to international Russian classification, is mandatory for any license. Not in a single license. In any of, in quote, the banks of the Russian Federation you will find lending subject of activity. You will find there only a point about distribution of resources. The point of distribution, allocation of financial activity is possible to allocate into shares, is possible to allocate into some exchanges, etc. These finances can be worked with if it is allowed to work with them. But in no case can loans be issued. You could ask, what is the difference between issuing a credit, a loan, etc.? It's a whole other difference. The point is that if someone gives you a loan, even based on pledging your real estate, proving through the court that using your sovereign civil rights that you cannot, there are circumstances that do not allow you to return this loan on time, etc., then your property is exempt from encumbrance because it is your property, and the right of ownership surpasses any collateral contract. However, if it is a credit subject of activity, then that is another matter. Credit, that's the exchange of bills. In the end, the bank is not lending to you, but the borrower is lending to the bank. The one who takes those blank Bank of Russia bills, which are not backed by anything and which are completely illegal and are not included in any international currency code classifier, simply pieces of paper, simply on the territory of the colony that was colonized by the Russian Federation, territory of the USSR, they introduced a substitute called the Russian ruble, which is not backed by anything and which, according to the classifier, is not classified as money at all. If the Russian ruble were money and the word money in general, then it would have an international code that you would be able to exchange anywhere, at any exchange office, in Germany, in America, United Arab Emirates, etc. If anyone has been to the United Arab Emirates, they remember that at the airport that there is a huge round exchange board on a pole that says, I didn't even know there were so many currencies, maybe 100 or 200. I don't remember the number of them. There are even feathers from the Tumba tribe in there. But there is no Russian ruble or Belarusian ruble or Kazakh in there because they are all substitutes. It's all a scam. And based on this, I want to say that at present, when a credit agreement is in progress, the promissory note that the citizen, it is an exchange of promissory notes, it is a contract. So the citizen who takes these vouchers of the Bank of Russia through pseudo bank of the Russian Federation, so he gives his promissory note. His promissory note in the form of real estate or in the form of some guaranteed promise and return a certain given amount. And here, as a sovereign citizen, he concluded the contract. Contractual alienation of property, either material of promised property, and within the framework, the court then calmly, and the court issues a decision to take your furniture, everything else, etc., out of your apartment. I want to tell you that all this, our comrades, our nation, I inform you that not only it's illegal, I am once again warning these extremists who are engaged in this illegal activity. There are, as you know, militia articles or police articles, as you call them now. There are official articles, or if you go into the corporate law or of private companies, the FSB article. And there are also international articles. According to the international article, presidents, arbitrary subjects and special subjects are tried, such in the law on earth. And so are the norms of international law, including criminal law. That is why you are involved in money laundering here today. There are, I will name you 5 basic laws for crimes, very strict ones, for which very severe punishments are given. Terrorism, genocide, extremism, corruption, and money laundering. Today, money laundering has been raised to the highest level by the international community, and what you are dealing with is money laundering. You are laundering money in a criminal manner. You are also turning the crime itself into a criminal method. After all, by issuing to an ignorant citizen, misleading them in the process, deceiving them by providing them with a credit, you are committing a crime. Only you are committing it. A citizen does not know what they are doing. So it is practically impossible for them to be involved in committing a crime. And I also want to tell you the following. And that is that many banks now, precisely because of what I've said, do not sign credit agreement. They came up with some kind of offer, right? a public offering. A public offering is a statement, an announcement. If you take the legislation and study what credit agreement is, you will find that a credit agreement is a bilateral agreement based on the norms of international law on bilateral agreement. And if you know even the constitution of the Russian Federation adopted by no one, which the extremists refer to, it also contains international law in its fundamental points, as it is in all other states. It takes precedence over the legislation interpreted here by the Russian Federation Company about its corporate laws. Based on this, the credit agreement is a bilateral agreement where both parties who refer to a certain right, the other party also has the same right. If a bank has the right to hand over its debts to someone, to third parties, collectors, etc., who may be involved in this matter, the citizen also has the right to hand over their credit debt to a third party. And here is the point of the Russian Federation Company have no power. Its federal laws have no power over what I have just told you. First of all, regarding precedence, the second moment. So why have they stopped signing contracts? Because the signing of a credit agreement by this finance company called a bank is direct evidence of its international crime, and it carries criminal consequences, very serious. That's why they came up with an offer, public offer. Offer is not a contract. The credit agreement, according its norms, must be mandatory bilateral and must be signed by both parties. Signed in the appropriate manner, and the legal entity, the finance company called the bank, must also obligatory complete with its stamp as required by their corporate procedures. If you do not have such a contract, but you have a public offer is not proof in court that you received the credit. You have become the victim of a crime, not being aware of it by accepting these means of payment, which are not money, but their corporate invention. Accepting them on the basis of some other documents, crediting them to your card on the basis of some expense document. That is not important. So, but without any obligation to this finance company, which is called a bank. So demand a credit agreement in court, demand permission for the credit activity and interpret it as an international crime, because that's how it is formulated. Here we created more precisely, we organized on the platform of one organization accredited by the United Nations, the Center of Systematic Monitoring and Analysis of Socio-Economic Problems, a national work based on the decree of the official government, generally accepted at the international level. The National Liberation Movement, that is the official government of the USSR. According to its decree, the Legal Protection Committee was organized, which has its ID in the United Nations, and which officially operates within the framework of international law, and which has more powers than any law firm, or in quotes, the so-called court in the Russian Federation. This committee works in our country, it is open and people work in it. So you have to self-organize and through the platform of its committee organize the collection of information of a similar type. Furthermore, this international committee announced our international program called the AIDS program, where the International Fund has allocated 1.5 billion euros for this aid program. If anything appears to be precedent somewhere and a legal credit really appears at a legal bank, and the citizen does not know how to deal with this credit, the fund allocated guaranteed funds to the committee, and the committee can pay the bank's credit for this debtor without any problem, within the letter of the law. Because money cannot be paid outside the letter of the law, not even from your side, so the so-called debtors. Because when you give money without a legal basis, you can be accused of money laundering, of a crime. Therefore, stop committing a crime. Refer to this, write a notice to the FSB, the Federal Security Service, prosecutors, or all other authorities that they are forcing you to commit an international crime. So some companies, some collectors of these companies who blackmail you illegally and collect from you these means of payment of the Russian Federation company, which they have no right to ask and collect from you. Therefore, everything must be left to the letter of the law. Only in the letter of the law is your strength and support, and therein in your truth, which can be proved in any case, even in this dark system of the Russian Federation company. So, dear citizens, I want to tell you that the district courts of the Russian Federation company do not have the status of a court and do not have the status to judge people, to judge anyone at all. Why? Let me explain. First of all, if you take their accounting register of the Russian Federation company, corporate and accounting register of their corporate courts, you will not find in them either the corporate tax office or the district court registration in other registration authorities, because they were liquidated in 2014-15 to erase the traces of the crime they committed here. However, they did not stop judging. To this day, people who are there, the human-like beings who are there in black robes, English robes, cloaks, which of course are not people's courts at all. So when they are asked a question, they appeal, because we respect the law, whether it is an international or English law. We respect any law, even on the territory of our own country. We ask them on what basis you are in this court. You judge, you make some court decision, and then these people, dressed in some new contemporary form, deprive people of their will, burden them with some payments, take away their property, take people's children away from their homes, etc. On what basis are you doing this? Who are you? Where is your foundation? Where is your right? Show it. The judge cannot show it because this building with the court sign, it's not registered as a court, but they appeal like this. You know, we exist based on the status of the judicial department. So, citizens, I'm asking you, take the status of the judicial department, which states that the judicial department is created to perform economic and other court services. That's pencils, pens, supply some vouchers for the judges, etc. It is at the entrance, and it is written there clearly and distinctly. It does not have the right to engage in judicial practice. Therefore, the position of the judicial department for these crimes and these extremists who pretend to be judges is not supported by anything. That's the moment number 2, and that's the third moment. Any judge who is, even according to the corporate law of the Russian Federation, obliged to have, and here I am not even taking into account the 3 pillars of power that are declared in the unadopted constitution of the Russian Federation. All those 3 pillars are optional. They usurped the power into the hands of one person, under the appointed resident, under the president of this company. Where is his signature? Alright. Request an order from any judge that would be stamped and signed by the president. You won't find one. Without this regulation, without the stamp and signature of the president, no electronic confirmation, no commercial website, Kremlin.ru, or any other commercial websites, because the Russian Federation Corporation has only 2 official websites where they declare their corporate laws and their procedures. Not 2 websites, but 2 sources of information. One is the Pravogov.ru website, and the other one is Rossiyskaya Gazeta. If it is not written and displayed there, no Kremlin.ru, no other governmental will confirm, no consultant will confirm the validity of these documents, these laws and these procedures. This is how the basic law of the Russian Federation itself, to which they refer and on the basis of which they declare themselves on the territory of the RSFSR is organized. That's why I want to tell you this. From the beginning until today, these extremists have built it like this. One wrongdoing, injustice after another, spreading dirt with it. Nothing, not even single brick lies in its place in the construction of their pseudo-state. Everything is thrown around and everything is in disorder and chaos. It has no legal succession, no legal foundation, nothing. It does not follow its own procedure. Therefore, it is the activity of, I would say, unauthorized extremist organization. Therefore, people, defend yourself. Apart from you and us, no one will protect you. Yourself must self-organize into folk groups. So organize them. Pay attention to the website of the National Liberation Movement of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Please do not confuse this with the Fyodorov movement. You will see on the website that this is the officially restored government in the whole system. It was this government who made a statement to the entire world community about the return of money capital to the citizens of the Soviet Union, as a result of which the Russian Federation lost the source of money laundering. These are pension funds. It lost other Soviet accounts, trusts, etc. England refused, Germany refused the basis through which the supplies went, because they declared that Russian Federation did not have and does not have any relation to the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics. I'll say it like this. Russia's enemy is the Russian Federation. They are completely different things. It is necessary not to confuse them. There is Россия, сияние Ra, that is the center of Rus, our mother earth. Россия, it was the Russian who created the Soviet Union. If you remember the anthem in its first lines, that is the Soviet Union. I'm repeating myself here. I also told you in other interviews that the Soviet Union, when the world financial system was being formed, when it was giving gold in 1934, etc., when Stalin was giving to the common financial system, to the trillennium, royalists, Tsarist dynasties throughout the Queen of England and other kings, they recognized the Soviet Union as a sovereign state, as the supreme sovereign, which allows it to unilaterally declare sovereigns. At that time, Stalin declared citizens born on the territory of the republics within the SSR, Russia, Ukraine and Belarus sovereigns. He declared them as sovereigns. The other republics have sovereignty only within the USSR. Leaving the USSR, they lose their sovereignty and colonizer takes them very quickly and starts committing the genocide that is taking place in our country today by usurping the territory of our country. Money from the pension fund of the Soviet Union must go to the citizens of the Soviet Union. As I said, there is no citizenship of the Russian Federation, and you are still citizen of the Soviet Union, but occupied. And this money goes to you, to your names, to your settlements. On its way to you, this money goes through your retirement account. However, they don't show you these accounts. They show you a sub-account through which they pay you only 6% of the insurance deposit, which can be donated. It is possible to send it somewhere. The spectrum of use of this insurance deposit is much larger. You get 6% basic pension, that is, money goes to 300, 400, 500,000 people, everyone, every month. All this goes away and is being laundered. International crime of money laundering is being committed. Also, other payments from the other trusts, which are for cases of exceptional situation, for other cases, for the struggle with economic and social assistance, all this was foreseen and established by the Soviet system. These revenues are coming in, but they are being laundered by these bankers' families who are founded the Russian Federation Company, Rothschild, Morgans, Rockefeller. Today these clans have organized this puppet show that you observe and see in the form of presidents, some kind of government. None of this ultimately exists. The entire activity, the entire economic activity is carried out by the IT program created by the Ernst & Young company for 280 million in our country. This program is like an official program or an S1 accounting program. It connects these pseudo-state commercial institutions with each other, from the tax authorities, the pension fund, etc. And precisely all the payments that citizens pay in taxes go directly in full volume to the owners of these companies, to these clans. You feed them, you feed world extremists and the world criminals. In the end, your income, and I already explained it to you, the pension was created from this insurance deposit. And if you don't come in there and you have the right to come to the savings bank, they give you a statement of movement of the account on your account, the pension account, the entire account, right in front of your eyes from the system. Ask for it to be printed. They will not do it. They will refuse it. They are forbidden to do it. Find a way through. Find your so-called prosecutor's neighbor with a gun or someone else who will force them, this criminal organization, to fulfill your sovereign will. And they will eventually give it to you, and you will see that money. We have already overcome this. Our people have already done it, and we understand that the movement turnover on the account is 450,000 each. Money passes through the grandmother and her money as well, and they deprive her of these benefits, and they deprive her of. They do this using the following crimes. It turns out that the Russian Federation is your guardian, based on the fact that when you received your passport, you signed a questionnaire under the point that says you are incapacitated, and they also register you that way. So when you are incapacitated, your rights, your sovereignty, your capital, etc. are taken away from you. You must have a guardian who has all of this and looks after you. And such global guardian is the extremist company, Russian Federation. And inside the system, these criminals have created a lot of companies. I'm not even sure that they physically exist somewhere, but they are in the system. If possible, I will leave a link below the video to a website where you can find these guardians of yours. They will give you subcontractor, a general subcontractor of your money. It is a group of 5, from 5 to 10 companies, registered legal entities, primarily with directors with the surname Speckelman, similar surnames, who take your money, and they drive you out to go to work. Apparently, the doctor of this guardianship hospital, where they send us as incapacitated, give us lectures about work to somehow survive, earn some kind of money, and also pay those who put this criminal hospital here. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. You yourself find it yourself. Search of your own free will and look at the documents. They are all available. They are also on websites. You will understand what the government of the Russian Federation actually is. The MVD service, Ministry of the Interior, FSB service, Federal Security Service, the tax office. Go to the nalog.ru website. Download the OGRN, state registration number for companies of any so-called state-owned companies, where you will see that there is an OGRN, and OGRN is not a chaotic arrangement of digits. Each digit programs a certain status, certain information. And if we were to take the classifier of international codes, the use of which is also ratified in Russia, it is Russian, as they say. It is in the Russian Federation as well. And you will understand that all OGRNs start with the number 1. And the number 1 means a private company. A legal entity of a private company. A state organ cannot be a legal entity, because it's an organ. It is established by the state. It is established according to the constitution, established by the government, by government order, or by presidential order, depending on what kind of state it is, what kind of state establishment is in that state, etc. And what laws are and order applied there. The establishment of these organs also depends on this. However, it is no way a legal entity. A legal entity is a private company. It can take several forms. Social organization, non-commercial organization, commercial organization. So, if we are talking about the organs of the Russian Federation company, then it's not a social, because social means high status. It is not non-commercial, because non-commercial means ideology ideologically gathered people for some tasks. They don't deal with commands either. They deal with the fulfillment of the certain tasks. It is task-oriented. And commercial ones, all the pseudo-state institutions, these are commercial companies. And if they are commercial companies, they have only one task: profit extraction, and not respecting your rights, freedom, etc., as they declare. They perform a function, they have agreements, they have created agreements through secret treaties, and they perform the function of the Ministry of the Interior of the Soviet Union. They perform the function of the State Security Committee of the Soviet Union, a function. However, they are not state organs, they are commercial subjects, including the prosecutor's office. Therefore, it is necessary. We were taught law in the Soviet schools, and even now we are taught law. Then if we do not respect our rights, then we are criminals, and we cannot be criminals. We must clearly study our rights, know them and respect them. And if it's necessary to fight against those who commit crimes, we need to write notices to them, we need to write notices to all international organizations. We need to take them out, point them out, and stop this legal chaos that they have created for us here. Therefore, citizens, I'm asking you, don't be afraid of anyone or anything. Now the time of our freedom has come. A lot has changed in the world, and a lot has changed in the space metrics as well. Bright times have come. The whole prison that they created for you is only in your head. So I want to say the following to the extremists of the Russian Federation company. Guys, first of all, you are not guys. You have no power, and you no longer have the dominion that you created here, because people have the power, this power to create harmony in the world, and the dominion that you exercise from top to bottom, to climb a little higher, and as they say in a chicken house, I peck your neighbor, screw the one below. As you did in our socialist sovereign country, this dominion is over for you. You have nothing, and you won't have either. You won't have money. You do not have and will not have any legal support. You will only observe how the nation wakes up inside the country and beyond its borders, and how it will expose all your crimes. Therefore, I'm asking you. Therefore, those who are not aware, who did not understand, who were under this black Kabbalistic cloud, use your sound mind, take it and study all that I have told you, check it, study all the documents, they are publicly available, all of them, and make up your mind whether you stay on the side of the con and the law, or you will side with international extremists and terrorists. But in that case, sorry to say, international law will not look at your pseudo status, it will take you, all of you, and don't think that by exposing only public clowns, all of you organizers, all of this crime activity, and the Z company, I mean Z group. So don't think that you are unknown. You are all already known by now. Everything is revealed, all depths of all your families, your connections, who you are connected with, where and what accounts do you manage, what secret societies you belong to, what crimes, what rituals you do, what have you been through, what pseudo level you have reached, because your entire black matrix has been overthrown on earth. It is no more and never will be. Therefore, think about it before it's too late for you, and safe to begin with. If you have descendants, then do honor to your descendants and make a bright choice. By doing so, you will save them too. Otherwise, your choice will only be that you will have nothing left but to run away. If you do not want to come to terms with truth and justice, creativity, the bright development of humanity on earth, and with the nature, if you cannot come to terms with it, then you will have to flee the face of the earth, because there will be no place for you. And how you run away is up to you, but you will no longer succeed in causing global damage to the nation, and you are deprived of all options and rights, and soon you will see for yourself. You are already seeing for yourself. Thank you.